Okay, so we're going to do another color replacement technique. And here we are in Photoshop, and I've got a red shirt and a blue shirt. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this gentleman's red shirt and turn it blue. And I'm going to use this shirt to target the other shirt. We're going to use a different tool this time. We're going to use the match color instead of the replacement color technique. So I'm going to grab my object selection tool and trap this shirt. I'm just going to drag over it, and I don't need this to be too precise because this is just something we're using to pick up the color. So I'm going to just trap that shirt. It just helps target the right part of the image that we want to pass the color to the other document. So we're going to go over to the red shirt, and what I want to do is I want to create, first thing I want to do is duplicate the layer. So I can click on the layer, thumbnail, drag it to the make new button. That'll make a new layer. I can also use my keyboard, Control J will jump to the new layer. Think of that as an insurance policy. Lots of times you want to try something, you can make a new layer and edit it through the new layer. In addition to that, there may be some effects or some edits that are a little that need to be edited, and I can use a layer mask on the top layer to pass values back down to the bottom layer. So here I am on the top layer, and the first thing I want to do once again is make a selection. Let me zoom out just a little bit, and I'm going to grab my object selection tool and trap over the shirt like we did a minute ago. It's going to create a selection, and the selection is good, but it's not perfect, so we need to refine the selection. I'm going to go in to the collar here, use the polygon lasso tool, hold down the shift key and clean up that collar. And what I want to do now is I want to push out the selection. I want to zoom out a little bit, and we want to take that selection, we want to actually expand it. So we're going to go to Select, Modify, Expand. I'm going to expand it by 1 pixel, click OK. And that pushed the selection out on the edges, looks pretty good. There's some places where it pushed it out a little too far. So depending on how, the idea with this type of technique is that it can be as precise as you want, depending on how much time you spend cleaning up those edges of the selection, okay? So for instance, right here on this cuff, I can probably cut that back in a little bit. So I'll use the Alt key, and I'm gonna come back in a little bit here. And then I wanna actually cut back in a little bit on the collar. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key and clean that up a little bit. That actually expanded it a little too much. And so you go back and forth until you make the selection as perfect as you want. And then I'm going to actually push the selection out a little bit more down here under his arm. Hold down the Shift key to add, Alt to subtract. I'm going to click around there like that, double click. I've got that cleaned up pretty good. So let's go ahead and move on to the next part. We're going to go up to Image Adjustments, and this time we're going to use Match Color. So what this allows me to do is to match a color from one element, from one document into another. We're going on to Source, and I'm going to choose the blue shirt. And then I can experiment with the luminance, color intensity. If I drag that down to 1, it cleans up the edges pretty good. And then I can use fade to actually change the proportionate amount of color that's being used. Right, so I can make it like he's wearing a gray blue shirt instead of a straight dominant blue shirt. And there's my technique. I'm going to click OK, go to Select and choose Deselect, and I've replaced the color in the shirt.